Yo! I'm compelled to use judo on people, namely philosophical judo. If you're attacked, you must defend yourself. Here, my perspective was under attack, a viewpoint in a dispute over whether most people are nice or not. Predictably, most people believe most people are nice. Is this circular reasoning, or should us so called pessimists change our viewpoint? Though niceness can be subjective, we can reach a logical conclusion. First, most people could not have been nice in America when slavery existed. Although only 2% of people owned slaves, most people tolerated the practice. Slavery gave the South a huge advantage because plantation slaves were extremely useful for Southern horticulture, while the industrialized Northern so called Rust Belt didn't benefit. The subsequent wealth Confederate so called Sun Belt states acquired from slavery gave them power to secede. And since the North had slaves themselves only 50 years prior, it indicates that Northerners generally oppose Southerners to maintain power, not out of compassion for slaves. Though American slavery is now illegal, tobacco companies are now and have been big businesses. Many financially profit from cigarettes, which enslave users to addiction. This maintains cash crops, causes millions of premature deaths, and destroys people's health. Others approve by allowing tobacco to be legal. Most people are polite and nonviolent. This satisfies most people's definition of nice, since most people have sizable families. With their calendars filled and needs satisfied, simple politeness and nonviolence is all they expect of society. However, those with unsatisfied needs often believe that most people are not nice. People who believe that society is nice express disapproval toward those disgruntled people instead of addressing their needs, labeling them negative, paranoid, etc. That's like a wolf wearing hippie beads and flashing a peace sign to a rabbit saying, "Don't be negative and paranoid, that's dangerous thinking." Instead, consider that 100% of people I didn't know who rang the doorbell, sent mail, or phoned me only wanted money. Often, nobody extends themselves socially to a neighbor. On the TV show What Would You Do?, actors improvised various troubling scenarios. Often, one actor subjected another to a ferocious verbal abuse in public. People made faces but said nothing. Sometimes actors publicly collapsed. Again, most people would not stop to offer assistance. In an airport scene, two actors convincingly portrayed themselves as airplane pilots getting extremely drunk. They loudly announced their plan to pilot an airplane in 15 minutes. Nobody reprimanded or reported them. One man said, "I'm glad I'm not on that flight." Moreover, there are 1,000 documented cases in which nobody helps someone in a crisis, or only one from a crowd helps. And according to What Would You Do?, only 1 in 5 lost wallets are returned, implying that 80% of people are crooks or completely uncaring. Think about it. Per Christian scripture, John the Baptist and Jesus considered their contemporaries, I quote, "a generation of vipers." That's extremely dangerous, venomous snakes. Matthew 3:7, Matthew 12:34. Paraphrasing Jesus of Nazareth in Matthew 7:13-14. Many take the highway to destruction, universally understood as hell, and few find life, universally understood as heaven. Declaring that most people are nice either implies that God will damn many nice people, or Jesus of Nazareth didn't know what he was talking about. The Apostle John concluded, "The whole world lieth in wickedness." First Epistle of John 5:19. If someone makes people feel wonderful, yet there's one person whom he dislikes, so he murders him, is he a nice person or a murderer? Think about it. Moreover, do we respect others except 1 or 2 people whom we hate or won't forgive? Christ equated hate with murder and said that those who won't forgive won't be forgiven. Jesus, referring to benevolent and social acts, said, "Inasmuch as you fail to serve the least, you fail to serve me." Food for thought. For an even lower estimation of humanity by an atheist, see the video "Humanity is Overrated." Movies and books. I've been blessed and I'm thankful for my blessings. Many people's problems are worse. However, without wealthy parents, I probably would have died young or have nothing. I relate to characters who have obvious differences which separate them from others. Therefore, I recommend the following must-see movies. 7 are fictional but brilliantly depict what would happen given the circumstances. 8 movies ended disastrously for one or more characters, all reflecting true life. The Elephant Man movie and book factually document what happened to someone physically deformed and handicapped. Powder imaginatively postulates an intelligence extreme. Note that those of highest intelligence often suffer ostracism. Physical differences, differences in upbringing, and ideological differences. The Sixth Sense superbly illustrates the psychiatric community and society at large refusing to acknowledge unfamiliar spiritual realities no matter what anyone says, and damning people as mentally ill or freaks. Lost and Delirious, loosely based on Susan Swan's book The Wives of Bath, is an excellent illustration of what happens to nonconformists without a family. Polly, having only one friend, no family, and losing her only love, quoted Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, Act 4, Scene 15. Shall I abide in this dull world, which in thy absence is no better than a sty? Before committing suicide, Mary Bradford commented, I was almost swallowed up in darkness like Polly, but I had you, speaking to her mother's spirit. $1 Million Baby finally illustrates what happens when someone is poor, has an unsupportive family, and becomes paralyzed. Of Mice and Men, based on John Steinbeck's novel, does a great job portraying several different social issues. Charlie, based on Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Algernon, and Sling Blade are excellent portraits of mentally handicapped men's lives. Not Like Everyone Else factually documents a modern witch hunt pitting Brandy Blackbear against her entire school. Her parents acquired some semblance of justice by hiring lawyers. However, the movie distorted the facts, making her persecutors devout Christians and she a non-Christian. Actually, both parties were very marginally Christian. Only Brandy was curious about paganism and they weren't. And despite the positive outcome of the movie Ben X, a tragic outcome is the norm for such youths as the film explains. Moreover, I am Brandy Blackbear and I am Ben X. View these movies and their accompanying books through the eyes of those unique characters suffering negation, absorbing this material until you become these characters and see life from their perspective, retraining your thinking if necessary. The characters' severe reactions to their circumstances shouldn't be imitated, since if Jesus Christ were in identical circumstances, he'd persevere with his sterling character perfectly intact. However, these stories accurately portray the average person's reaction given the circumstances, and most people's reaction, actually. Again, referencing Powder, the protagonist, an albino with a lightning conducive body, telekinesis, and the world's highest intelligence, lived in seclusion but must now face society. Witnessing the slow death of a wounded deer, Powder simultaneously grabs the hunter's hand and deer's paw, causing the hunter to feel the deer's pain. After hearing of this incident, his science teacher stated, "If you think that's bad, there's much worse. You have a mind that we won't evolve to for thousands of years. You're the man of the future." We're stumbling around in a very dark age, just trying not to kill each other. After constant exploitation and abuse, a lightning bolt strikes Powder, pulling him into a different plane of existence. Stay tuned for part 2.